cannot tell you how excited I am to have Big Al on this call. Like he's a little square down there. He's on our Zoom call, and it is so unbelievably exciting to have him. Right now he's in Asia. So where it's 9 o'clock for most of us here on the East Coast, it is 9 a.m. He has just gotten up. So hold on, I need to unmute you. So thank you so much, Tom, for getting on with us tonight or this morning. I don't know quite what to say, but can you hear us?
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes. So, so for those of you guys who may not know who Big Al is, I first saw him when I was at convention 2 years ago. Everyone is frozen. Can y'all hear me? You can? Okay. Shay's shaking her head. She's right next to me. Okay. So I saw him 2 years ago at convention in Dallas. Absolutely loved him. And then I've seen him 2 times since then. The last time was just this past November in Orlando at the Mastermind. I attended his small, you did it with Mark Davis, Tom, the breakout session, and it was absolutely incredible. So I always love reading his books and hearing from him. I believe you have written 7 books on recruiting. Is that correct? Or is it more than that?
15.
15. I was looking online. I was like, I don't know if I can count all these. 15, that's a lot. So he's definitely the expert. He has been in our network marketing business for, gosh, how many years, Tom?
44.
44. Okay. So y'all, he knows what he's talking about. Okay. He knows what he's talking about. So I approached him with him, of course, asking and praying that he would say yes, fully expecting him to say no. So I about jumped out of my pants when he did say yes and agreed to be on this call with us. But basically, really, I love the 4-Color Personality book. Is one of my favorites. And I use his words that he talks about when I am talking to prospects and people that I'm trying to recruit. So I was like, is there any way possible that you might be able to hop on well, actually, I did use his own words on him. I said, I'm just curious if you could hop on a call with us. And he said yes. So thank you so much. So I'm going to kind of turn the floor over to him and let him give us some words of wisdom.
Okay, if you can hear me okay.
Yes.
Promise to do a couple shortcuts, use very, very quickly to get some appointments, because if you're like most people, and sorry about most people, January's New Year's goals are probably broken. We all said, we're going to talk to 5 people every day, and we're going to all these contacts. And the problem is, on January 1, we look at the telephone, and then we think, and then we look at the telephone again and say, who am I going to call? And then we think, and then we say, well, what am I going to say? And then we think. So we get frustrated, and we go outside and stand in the middle of the street. And how do you talk to these people? So I'll give you 5 words to start with so you can get an appointment with almost anybody, and they will beg you for a presentation. So if you have a pencil and paper, just write down, I got a good story, period. And when you say I got a good story, a lot of cool things happen inside of our prospect mind. So we're programmed that we love stories, we love books, we love movies, Hollywood gossip. So you say I got a good story. We want to know what the story is. In fact, we're programmed somehow that we cannot go on in life unless we know how the story ends. So that's a good story. Their mind stops. It's not a sales pitch. Everybody just wants to know your story. And think about it this way. He's telling a story. Our mind just says, we've got to stop and listen all the way through the story until the story ends, because we cannot go on in life unless we know how the story ends. So when you say I got a good story, it is awesome for getting a page, I got a good story. A lot of people don't want to know about it. Or if you just sit at the coffee machine one day, people say, oh, what's going on? You say, well, I got a good story. People want to hear it. Tomorrow morning, somebody says, so what's new with you? And you say, well, I got a good story. And if you don't say anything else, they're going to say, well, what's the story? What's the story? What's the story? They just can't wait to hear it. So if you do that, it's easy. You say, well, could I text somebody? Well, yeah, you could probably text. I'd probably text this word if you have your phone. Tell you when we have a chance to tell you when we have a chance to catch up and talk, period. If you send that text to almost anybody, you're going to get a lot of appointments. Usually at workshops, if I do this, people get appointments before break. Or when are we going to get together? Yes, we do need to catch up. It's an easy way to talk to people. And even if you're one of those people that, I got to make some conditional friendships or that I went to school with 20 years ago, it's really hard to call and say, hi, remember me from school 20 years ago? Let me tell you about business and product. That's pretty ugly. But if you could say, I got a good story somewhere in the conversation, it's a lot better. So the question is, if they say, yeah, tell me a story, what are we going to say? So let me ask Mary Ann here, what are your favorite 2 or 3 products that you'd like to talk about?
Probably our triplex, which is our slim, which is the pink drink, our probiotic, and our BioCleanse.
Okay, well, we'll just use that. People say, so what's new with you? I got a good story. And you say, oh, what's the story? And you say, well, every New Year's, I said, goal to lose 10 pounds. This year, I figured out how to do it for real. The end.
That'll work.
Now, what are people going to say? Tell me more. How does it work? Or maybe the story is, so you're talking to a friend, or maybe a checkout clerk, and you say, I got a good story. And you say, what's the story? And you say, every afternoon at 2 o'clock, I felt sleepy at work. Now I don't anymore. I figured out the secret. The end. As simple as that. You have a story. You say, well, what about my business? And you say, I got a story. And they say, what's the story? And you say, well, you know how I hated my job with that dream vampire boss? And go, yeah. Well, I finally figured out how to fire him and have a full-time income. The end. Ask you about it. Or at work. What's new with you? Well, I got a good story. Well, what's your story? I hate working here just like you do. But I got an escape plan. I only have to work 4 days a week. The end. They can't help but ask you what's going on. So if you have little micro stories that just tells you in a nutshell, you don't need a presentation. People will say, tell me more. From that point on, it's just a conversation or the first training. They've already made that mental decision to join. So everywhere I go, people say, that's great, except, nobody's talking to me about how, okay, nobody's doing it. Let me pass on this little principle of reaction. And that is, people are very reactive. And what that means is we don't really use our free will. We just kind of react to what happens during the day. Somebody smiles at us, we smile back. Somebody's angry at us, we're kind of angry. If whatever happens, we just seem to react, just go throughout the day. So if you were to decide right now and a stranger to give them $100, I think the stranger would have a certain reaction. If you go outside and meet that same stranger and punch them in the nose, they would have a different reaction. Maybe they'd say, oh, that was rude or something like that. But they'd have a different reaction. So we have this same prospect, two different behaviors. The question is, does the behavior have anything to do with the prospect or everything to do with what we said and did? Of course, the answer is it has everything to do with what we said and did. So if prospects are not asking us for our story, and they don't use free will very much, and most of the time they're reactive, it's up to us. So we can make this happen almost anytime we want by doing this little reaction thing. All you have to do is at work or a social situation or at McDonald's, if you have a chance, just say to somebody, so what is new with you? If you say, so what is new with you? That's rejection free. Anybody can do that. You say, so what's new with you? And they're going to say, oh, blah, 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 blah. And action, most times, especially if they're polite, they will probably say, and by the way, what is new with you? And of course, we're going to answer, well, I got a good story. So all you have to do is say, so what is new with you? To 3 or 4 people every day. They're going to ask you, what's new with you? And you're going to say, I got a good story. Most of them are going to say, hey, tell me more about that story. Sounds interesting. This is something I want to need. And the business doesn't get much more difficult than that. You're always taking the volunteers. So that's a little trick that you can use right away from the moment we hang up. Let's go around asking people, so what's new with you? They're happy to talk about themselves, and you know how to take it from that point on with little micro stories. I promise a little to use right away. So from that point on, we wanted to talk about the colors, right, Marianne?
Yes, yes, I would love for you to kind of go over. So if we're telling them the story, we've asked them that, how can we basically go from our story to really working into the words that we use to help motivate them or inspire them to join our team, to purchase our products? Because I feel like different people have different motivations, and we talk and we have different languages with different people based on sort of what color personality they are. At least that's what I've learned from you.
Okay, so most people, after you tell them the story, are going to say, that sounds good. How do I do it? And you don't really have to do any selling after that. Done. People make decisions quickly based upon their internal programs. But the 4 color personalities is another way, people, and it's a way of talking to people better no matter what you're saying. And the 4 color personalities, the short story is people are wired 4 ways. And this is kind of their primary way of looking at the world. The yellow personality, they just like helping people. The blue personality, they like having fun. The red personality, they'd like to be in control, getting things done. And the green personality, that's the nerds like me that are into information and probably not social. So those are the 4 personalities. People are wired that way from birth. And communication gets a lot better. And it's our communication that fails us. When we start network marketing, they say just talk to people. That's only half true. The half true is, yes, we need to talk to people, but the second half, you have to learn how to talk to them correctly in a way that they understand, and have all this prejudice and skepticism and negative feelings and stuff like that. And of course, we didn't learn those skills in school, so we have to learn them now. So for everybody here on the call, yes, we do talk to people, but how we talk to people at a professional level is totally different. So on a professional level, we don't get rejected, so people actually hear our message. What we have to do is kind of figure out what color personality they are. So we don't have much time in this call. I'll do one because it'll help everybody right away. We're not going to talk about the yellow one, which loves to help people, or the red one about making or the green one with information. We're going to talk about the blues. So for everyone here on the call, the first thing to remember is the blue personality party. They love fun, adventure. They like doing new things. They're active. Their mind's going 100 miles an hour in 100 different directions at the same time, so they have a short attention span. and they are always talking. So if you know somebody that's morning in the afternoon, even talks in their sleep, that's always talking, that's a blue personality. So let me give you some examples of outgoing blue personalities. Bugs Bunny, SpongeBob SquarePants. Remember the Lethal Weapon movies with Mel Gibson? He was the blue personality. He said, let's go out and shoot some people, then we'll question them next. Very active people that love having fun, love life. So with the blue personality, you'll have to consider, well, I like to have fun. They're thinking really, really quick. What do they like to do? Well, if a blue personality comes to South Carolina, the first thing I'm going to say is, oh, let's go to Charleston and see the ocean. And let's go to the park. And there's be parties all night long. And let's sightsee during the day and meetings. And they're just active. They love travel, adventure, try new things. They're totally social. But because they're always talking, they hardly ever listen. So if you have a blue person on your team, just remember, most times they are not listening to you. So here is why I like the blue. They will talk to anybody, anywhere. You'll never have a blue person say, I don't have anybody to talk to. Oh, I don't have any contacts. That the colors might say. But the blue people are the ones that you get on the elevator with, and you've never met this person before, but they're blue. They start telling you what they did last night, what they did the night before, why they're in town. They just love to talk. So I want you to visualize a blue personality in your mind, somebody who just talks to everybody. I love these people because they can set up a lot of appointments, people to meetings, they'll bring people to training, but they will never, ever follow up. They're not follow-up people. Blue people just love to meet new people. That's what they're wired. If you bring a blue personality as a guest to a meeting, here's what happens. To the meeting, they jump up out of their chair, run outside. They just have to talk to people. So they talk to a stranger out in the hallway and they say, oh man, you got to join this great opportunity. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to win these trips. We meet all these new people every week. We can socialize. I can't remember the name of the company and I can't remember what they do, but it's going to be great. You just got to join. And we're going to do this together. That's the blue. They are in action with no facts. And they also make instant decisions on no facts. So we talk to a blue personality. I will give you an example. I'm in London some years back. And has a distributor with me. And I says, you know, well, we're going out to lunch. And he brings a blue friend along. I know he's blue because all he does was talk the whole time. So when his blue friend took a breath, he said, and I said this very fast, but I'll slow it down. I said, oh my, this opportunity is great. We're going to have so much fun. We're going to do it together. Anyway, so we can start qualifying for the trip together. And the blue person who's walking with us said, yes, I got to get started now. This sounds, the new distributor in between was scratching his head and says, how does that work? How do blue people make decisions like that? Well, it's just how they do it. It's very, very need anything to get into action. The greens are, of course, just the opposite. So I like talking to blues using words like exciting, adventurous, meet people, talk to people. You say these words, they just love you. So if you write words down, is all you have to remember when you talk to a blue person. You say, well, don't I have to remember anything else? I said, no, they're not listening anyway. Just say something quick and exciting, and they're going to want to join or be involved or try the product. Now, the reason I like blue, I'm happy to do tons of presentations, but to go out and meet new people, oh, terrible. What I normally do, if I go to a new city, I just want to talk to a blue person because a blue person will make all the appointments. I can do the presentation, and it's easy. And people say, well, how do you find these blue people? How do you get referrals? Well, let me show you how. If you go to people and ask for referrals, sometimes they think, oh, it's kind of commercial. I don't know if I should give you a name or not. So if I ask people, who do you know that's a blue personality, they wouldn't know this, but I can say this. Who do you know that is a good storyteller? Storyteller, question mark. Well, that's going to be tell stories that never end. They just talk and talk and talk and talk. And I said, well, they say I have his number. Well, give me his number. Doesn't sound commercial at all. Or, oh, here's John's number. So I don't know anybody in the town. I've been sent to John, a blue storyteller. I go up to John and I say these words. You might want to write them down because this is your whole presentation. Whole presentation, just a couple words. So when he finally takes a breath, I say, there's two types of people in the world. There are two types of people in the world. Those that tell stories and those that get paid for it. Those that get paid for it, period. That's it. Now, the blue has a choice here. It says, hey, I'd like to get paid for it. We're done. What a great opportunity. In our business, you can just tell stories all day long. They can be longer than the little short stories we used earlier in this call. But you can tell stories and testimonials, people using it, people changing their lives, people who make appointments. I could talk to them, or he could talk to them if he decides to learn a couple presentation skills. Or the blue might just keep on talking, not listen. Or the blue says, well, that's nice, but I don't want to get paid for it. And that's okay too. All I need to do is find one blue and I'm set for the city. Make appointments all day long, faster than I could do presentations. I meet everybody. So let's review. Well, they send you to John. You say, John, there's two types of people in the world, those that tell stories and those that get paid for it. He's all, oh, that's nice, but let me tell you another story. I don't think that person is the business person I'm looking for. But if he says, yeah, I'd like to get paid for telling stories, ka-ching, I have a potential new leader and we're building fast and furious with new people. I don't have to keep calling back with new people that want to talk right away about the business or about the product. So, Marianne, where would you like to go from there? Because that kind of explains basically what you need to know about the blue personality.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think we can all relate to blue personality people. How do blue personality, are they good leaders? Are they ones that will, how do you keep them engaged really? You know, because I find those blue personality people sometimes, because I've had some on my team and I have some that they get so excited about the newest thing and that sometimes reeling them in and really keeping them focused on what they need to be doing is difficult. Do you have any suggestions for that?
I don't think they are just who they are. They get distracted at the tiniest thing. But the place I keep blues involved is remind them of an upcoming trip they're qualifying for. New use of the product. For instance, if they've already talked to everybody about the weight loss, you talk to them, give them something new to talk about. But usually they are never short of words. Blues in a location, let's just pick a town, Spartanburg. And once a month where you all go out to dinner together. And for the Blue, this is the highlight of the month. You say, well, bring a bunch of guests. So you have new guests when you have dinner together. So there's a lot of things you can do to a chance to talk to people, adventures. Uh, they're excited. The business. I do find a problem keeping them focused, but they are very reactive. So a lot, I have something for them to talk about. Then it's easy. Blues are fun though. They don't need any information to join. You don't have to do these long presentations. You just say it's going to be fun, and they are in.
Awesome. What about, as leaders on the team, we all have people on our teams. When we're doing contests for our teams, do you have any suggestions? What are some of the best contests that you've done for your teams that engage the most in different kinds of personalities?
The shorter the contest, the better. Any contest over a few weeks, we tend to lose focus and it becomes old. One of the easiest contests that people can do is one where almost anybody could win. What's nice about contests is you can make it so almost anybody wins. I mentioned having a dinner. Here's one that we run or having consistently, and then is to a banquet. Everybody pays their own ticket for the banquet or buys their own meal. Here's how it would usually turn out. 14 people for dinner. Everybody paid for their own dinner instead of Mexican restaurant and qualify. I just wanted to get my team going. And because everybody paid for their own dinner, it was a pretty inexpensive contest. 4 at our monthly banquet. And people said, this is so much fun. We like it, but we don't like Mexican food as much as you do. How about Chinese food? So I said, okay, month 3, we'll have it at a Chinese restaurant. In Chicago, there's a place called Chinatown where they have all these Some of these restaurants have giant banquet rooms, big round tables with lazy Susans on, where you can take what you want. And that was very popular when we started that. So we would get up to about 100 people for the banquet, just in our little Chicago group. And they would come, rain or shine. They said, I have to sponsor. I believe we had snow, something like 10 or 12 inches fell that night. 90% of the people showed up. And it says, how could you show up in a city like Chicago with 10 inches of snow? They said, well, it's for the banquet. These are the same people who couldn't come with the. But what motivated them was they enjoyed being recognized. They enjoyed being part of a group. They enjoyed qualifying and seeing their friends and catching up at the end of the month. Well, the Yellows came to visit. The Blues came to talk. They always sponsored somebody. And the Greens came to take notes because there might be an interesting speaker. Well, there was only about 15 minutes of meeting. The rest was just social because we wanted people to bring their wives or their husbands, whoever was not active in the business, to see that we were normal people. And after time, we learned how to leverage this even better. We said to the people, they can come one time because they got sponsored. So new people would come along with their sponsor. And at the sponsor and says, we want to qualify for next month's banquet. If I set 3 appointments tomorrow, would you go with me to see if we could sign somebody up? Excited because they wanted to go the following week. Then after a while, I bought an old trophy for about $20. And we had a trophy called a traveling trophy for whoever sponsored the most during the month. So there was a lot of activity among the Reds and the Blues, who was going to win that trophy. And then I had one for whoever retailed the most during the month. But of all the contests we ran that had the most excitement, the most fun, it was a group meeting. It happened once a month. It only cost people what they're going to pay for their own dinner to eat out anyway. And usually we got a discount at the restaurants. So that was the best contest. And you can start that with just 3 or 4 or 5 people right in your own hometown.
That's so good.
And do it monthly.
That is so good.
Sorry, Mary, long answer to a short question.
No, that was awesome. That was so good. Did you find when your team got larger and bigger and out of that area in Chicago, did you do anything to include those people that weren't right there with you in your hometown?
They started their own banquets in their own hometown. And some people had an uncle who owned a steak restaurant, so they ate steak every month. And other people had a friend that had an Italian restaurant. Chinese always seemed to be the best because everybody had their own banquets. And that made a very tighter, more loyal group also.
That's good. That's great. I know we have a hard time really connecting with some of the people that we just see on Facebook or just talk on the phone or on a Zoom call. And I think that's a really, really great idea. My blue personality is loving that idea. When you recruit, one more question, and when you're recruiting, is there a certain color personality type that you really look for, one over the other? Would it be a red or anybody?
When recruiting, all the colors have good points and bad points. And I'll go through them very quick. The yellows, everybody love them for upline. They make great leaders. But you probably won't see the yellow being the aggressive person trying to win a contest or go up a rank. That's just not their highest motivation. For the blues, because they're busy meeting new people. For the reds, they normally make the most money in network, do all this and do this regularly. But sometimes the reds feel pushy. And people say, I'm just part-time. And then the greens, which is my color, we're the perfect color, of course. For the greens, bringing in a lot of new people, but we're very stable because we've researched everything and we think everything is perfect. One that you feel you primarily are. And what's neat is if you got recruiting, you probably are naturally going to be able to talk to somebody who's your color. So a yellow talking to a yellow makes it easy, just like an engineer talking to an engineer. It's easy. We understand each other. The trick in network marketing is once you know what color you are, that helps because that means 3 out of 4 people that you talk to, you're going to ruin because you're going to talk to them in the wrong. You're going to talk to them in a language that you speak, not they speak. But when you learn the colors, it gives you flexibility so they understand. And I'll just give you a quick example of adjusting the language. I'm people. But if I talk to a yellow, I'll do an exaggerated example. I yellow person to a meeting, the one that loves helping people, the Mother Teresa, the massage therapist, the kindergarten school teacher, meeting by saying, would you please come? We need your help. And with that, they would probably come because we need their help. And we have people lose weight who never could before and regain their health. And so maybe they can, get their body evil drugs from the pharmaceutical companies that's poisoning their liver so they'll never see their grandchildren get married. And then segments, and they say, oh yeah, I can bring some refreshments. And I just need one person to come as my guest tomorrow night to win the secret ribbon of happiness. And I'll be your person. So I just have to learn to talk to them in a different language. So once you learn the It's not about me, what color I am. It's about what color the prospect is. So if I'm talking to a yellow personality, I might use the word help a whole lot more. And with the blues, fun a whole lot more. With the reds, money or power a lot more. With the greens, I might use a word in. Eyes light up and they say, oh, wow, I get it. And we can have a really high quality conversation, really deep, where they get it, they understand us, and all it changed was just a couple words that we added to our vocabulary when we talked to them. So, when you learn the different colors, it gets a whole lot easier than that. But for now, just remember that blues like to have fun. They like to be on Zoom calls a week to all their downline all over the United States. And for all the blues on the call, I know your mind's going. But just remember this, say, I got a good story. And if you're a blue, you might add the words, takes about 20 seconds. That way people who know you won't be afraid. So back to you, Marianne.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. That was so good. Did everybody enjoy that? Okay. Who would love to see Big Al come to the East Coast in South Carolina? Okay. Y'all type in if you would like for him to come, or shake your hands. We would love to have him and host him here, and just get more and more of his wisdom and awesome words. So I just want to, if you guys can shout him out also and just say thank you so much, give him some, and I'm echoing in my ear. I was having a hard time hearing, in the chat box, and tell him how much you appreciate him. We so appreciate you, Big Al, for doing this. Can y'all hear me? Everyone's kind of frozen. Yes. Yes. Okay. So I just want to close the meeting out first off by, I could just say thank you 100 times. And then we are going to just do a really quick team shout out thing. And Tom, you don't have to stay on. I'm just going to go over a couple announcements and shout out my top 5 people that are, they have the top in sales and all that kind of stuff. But have an awesome day and a great rest of the week. Tom, I'm going to